Welcome back to Ctrl Alt Lead, the podcast from computing where we talk to IT leaders about what's moving in the market. For security leaders, passwords are the bane of their life. Users forget them, they complain about company policies when they're resetting them, and God forbid, the post-it note situation. Multi-factor authentication helps a bit, but it has its own flaws. My guest this week is Richard Richison, who works at a life sciences tech company with 1,600 employees around the world, and he thinks he's found a solution to both issues. In 6 weeks, Richard moved his entire company from a password-based process to a biometric-based one relying on the TPM chip in various devices, and it had a universal positive response, which doesn't happen very often. We talked about the rollout and what other IT leaders should look for if they also want to move away from MFA. Enjoy. Richard, hi, thanks so much for joining me. We've been talking, you and I, about multi-factor authentication. You quite infamously think multi-factor authentication is dead. You made a very passionate LinkedIn post about it. So why is that? Why do you think MFA is dead?
Yeah, well, first, don't get me wrong. It's better than nothing. But in my opinion, MFA is giving organizations and employees a false sense of security. And I say that because it's traditional MFA does nothing to block the man-in-the-middle attacks. And if you do a search on YouTube, you'll find a great YouTube video where the late Kevin Bicknick gave a live example of how ineffective MFA is during a man-in-the-middle attack. And so again, it's better than nothing, but I believe, in my opinion, it's giving false sense of security to both the organization and the employees.
Okay, so the sort of argument there then is that traditional MFA specifically is becoming less effective. Why is that?
Yeah, in my opinion, I think user fatigue is the most common, whether it's through the business or through all of their personal MFAs that they get on their mobile devices with their personal banking, their personal apps. And so, just from my day-to-day experience, I probably get anywhere from 20 to 50 MFA responses from my mobile devices or from my computer each day. And so if you talk to both the administrators as well as the end users and ask them about MFA fatigue, you'll get an honest answer from them. And threat actors know this. And so there's a couple of threat actor groups that they will purposely send dozens and dozens of MFA requests to the user, hoping that they just get frustrated and click and approve it. And once they approve it, then they're in. And with the increase of AI and the ability to create some of the sophisticated phishing and social engineering campaigns that are out there, it's making the traditional MFA less effective.
Okay, and traditional MFA in this context means like a token-based system, does it?
Yeah, one-time password, token-based, SMS, just kind of the standard ones that everybody out there is configured and that are using on a day-to-day basis.
Sure. Okay, so if then traditional MFA is not doing the job, I assume you've been using something different, being aware of this sort of problem. So what are you using at your company in place of traditional multi-factor?
Yeah, last year we switched to a phishing-resistant process, which relies on biometric cryptographic security keys and also the device-level security checks using the TPM on both our laptops, computers, and our mobile devices. So, for the last 5+ years, maybe even 10, pretty much every device that an employee or even from a personal perspective has that TPM chip, and manufacturers and developers of these phish-resistant technologies are able to take advantage of the TPM technology that are on the devices.
Yeah, the TPM is the trusted platform module, if I remember correctly. And I know it was a requirement for Windows 11, everything had to have TPM 2.0. And I think that really sort of sped that rollout. So, what advantage does a TPM chip have? Like, what does that bring to a device as opposed to one that doesn't have it?
So the local biometrics and the cryptographic keys that are stored in the TPM chips are, I mean, at least up until this point, unhackable. And so I would rather take the chance that somebody has my whatever 1 in 100, 200 people would have my facial recognition, and even less that would have my thumbprint for a biometric versus relying on a traditional one-time password or an SMS coming to my mobile device or my end user's devices.
Fair enough. Yeah, unhackable is a word I hear get thrown around a lot in the security space, but we'll see what quantum computers do to that. So I always um, I hate to use the word unhackable, but unhackable for now is a good way to say it.
At
Uh,
least 10 years until the quantum computers take over and basically can crack our 256 AES encryption within minutes versus 10 years, 5 years, or whatever it would take.
yeah, yeah, but people have been saying quantum computers are just around the corner for 20 years now, so I don't think I'm going to hold my breath on that one.
Well, you can get one on Amazon in AWS. They're there. You just have to pay for it.
No, that's true. That's true. Uh, so what scale is this rollout that you've done of let's say non-traditional MFA, this biometric sort of system? Is it across the whole company?
Yeah, we started out with a proof of value with about 25 to 50 users, and that took us about a week to get it rolled out to those users. So it was a very simple process. And we let them use it for about a month. And the feedback from every user was, this is awesome. I don't have to enter a password. I don't have to worry about my MFA response. And being able to log into all of their SSO apps was seamless. Essentially, they just entered in their email address and they were given access. And so after that proof of value, we rolled it across globally, all 25 of our locations, probably about a 6 week period. We did one location from each region. So our US, Europe, and APAC, one per week for about a 6 week period until we got it pushed out to everybody.
Right. So was it a challenging rollout? Were there any like stumbling blocks along the way?
Not from a technical side. I think the most challenging was the people that reported the enrollment email as phishing versus clicking in, authenticating their devices. So once we were able to overcome that challenge, the users were sent an email with a link, and then the enrollment process of their work computer and their mobile devices probably took them less than 5 minutes to get both devices enrolled.
Right. You clearly you've trained your staff too well if they're reporting genuine security emails as phishing ones.
Yeah, some of them click on everything as phishing, and some of them click on all the phishing links. So it's kind of a good balance, I guess, between the two.
Well, I was going to ask you about the staff reaction to this rollout, but you've preempted me. Like it sounds like it was a smooth and pretty simple process, and everyone's happy with it.
Yeah, literally, it's probably one of the only security products that have rolled out in my career that the reviews are positive and the employees were thankful that we made something easier versus making it harder on them. Because typically, when you have something with security, it makes it more difficult and extra steps for the user versus taking away steps.
What a nice change for a security product to be widely accepted in the company.
Yeah, it's the only one, and I don't know. Hopefully, there's others that come out in the future, but I'll take the win on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd like to sort of close then, Richard, by asking you for your advice for other IT leaders, other people in the same situation as you who are also looking to sort of reassess or replace their MFA. Where should they start?
Yeah, my recommendation would be look for a single device MFA solution. Some of the core components that I would recommend looking at so that you have a similar experience would be one that eliminates passwords, one that binds the identity to the device. In that way, if a user loses that device, it really doesn't matter because unless they chop off their thumb or 1 in 100 have the same facial recognition, they're not going to be able to get into that device. And then the other one is that uses biometrics because, again, that biometrics, whether it's a face recognition or a finger swipe, it's stored in that TPM chip, and that TPM chip will secure those biometrics for your end users. So those would be the 3 core components that I would recommend.
Brilliant. Richard, thank you so much for joining me for a really great discussion about MFA. And we'll speak to you again very soon.
I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Ctrl Alt Lead. Coming up is our last episode of the year, where I'm talking to Paul Williamson of ARM about AI at the network edge. But we're already planning 2025's episodes. Watch out for my chat with Jonathan Armstrong, who is a partner at Punter Southall Law, and we're digging into what the EU's DORA regulation could mean for the IT sector. As always, head over to computing.co.uk for more IT interviews, research, and analysis. See you soon.